Hey everybody, welcome back. It is week eight, which means we're halfway through the semester. So this is a crucial time in every student's life in that it is time to evaluate how things are going and see if there's anything that we need to do to work together to get you either caught up, if there are things that you're missing, or to help you keep improving. So, one of the things that I want to talk about today is that the definition papers, overall, content-wise, everybody had great things to say. However, there were a lot of struggles with the formatting and with citing sources, which I totally understand the citing sources because it is not something that comes naturally. And so I always expect there to be some bumps in the road on that. However, I am confused why the basic formatting was not there. So I'm going to share a couple of screens and I'm going to walk you through how to create an MLA document because that is a skill that you need, not only for this class, but for many others. Some of you had some crossover with kind of mixing up MLA and APA, which always sends up red flags because we're not even talking about APA. I mean, it's possible that you've used it in other classes, and that's why you're kind of defaulting to that. But we are using MLA, so I need you to follow the MLA guidelines. The other thing I want to talk about is research. It is very important that you start getting away from just using Google and that you gravitate towards using library sources. Not that there are not great credible websites out there, there absolutely are. And especially in 1101, you're going to be using internet sources. That's not a problem. But if the only thing you ever use are websites, you're missing out on doing some real research. You're also missing out on things that already have the proper MLA citations provided for you. So, if that's an incentive, that's a good incentive. Okay, so let me open a couple of things here. And first, we're just going to create a paper because I knew this would come up first. So we are in Word. The quickest way to set up your MLA paper in Microsoft Word is to click on the no spacing button and then turn on double spacing. That will help you get rid of any weird extra spacing that Microsoft likes to put in things. Some versions don't have that. I think the 365 version has been fixed, but I don't know. My theory is somebody over at Microsoft is on crack. That's just my theory. So we need first to add the header. So we're going to go to the insert menu and we're going to choose page number. We are going to make it a header and not a footer. And we're going to show number on the first page. Everything's fine there. We're going to click OK. Now, we're going to change the document to Times New Roman 12. So I am also going to do the same thing with my page number. So I have to go to the home screen and change this to Times New Roman 12. And in front of that page number, I have to type my last name, the student's last name. So we're going to use, who do we want to use today? Okay. We're going to type a last name. Now we need to get out of the header. So we can double click down here. We're going to again make sure that we're using the same font and size. So Times New Roman 12. And we're going to put first name, last name, your instructor's last name, the class, and the date. And we typically use the weird date format that MLA wants us to use, which is day, month, year. It's all very European. Okay. On the next line, notice I did not hit enter twice. On the next line, we are going to give our papers a title, and you're going to want to use something other than just the name of the assignment. Our next paper, let's see, what do we have coming up next? What's the next one? Compare and contrast. So let me two movies. Okay, I'm just gonna call it two movies. I would call it something other than just comparison contrast paper. So you can name the movies, whatever the case may be. So we're gonna give it a title. We need to go back to the left-hand margin, and every paragraph is going to get, we tab over. Okay. So every paragraph is going to have the first line indent. Notice it's plain double spacing. There's no extra spaces anywhere. Oops. When we hit enter again, we'll need to do that again. And all of our paragraphs will continue that way. Now, honestly, that's not the first thing I do when I start a paper. I go first to the works cited and I create my works cited, because as I am writing the paper, I am going to need to know what is on the works cited page so that I can do my in-text citations. Most people at least got close on the works cited page, but a lot of people had struggles with the in-text citation, which I totally understand. It does not come naturally. So we're going to hit enter and we're going to insert a page break. Okay. On the works cited page, we need to center the name works cited. It is not bold. It is not italics. It is not underlined. It does not have a colon. It's just works cited, and it is plural, works. Next, we're going to go back to the regular left margin. And now, instead of hitting tab, we need to actually turn on what's called the hanging indent. The easiest way to do that is to move the bottom triangle over. And now what's going to happen is anything that's more than one line long, and many of them won't be more than one line long, but let's say they are, every time I start a new one, it's going to be correct until I tell it to stop doing that. Okay. When you are citing sources, every time you have a works cited page, it is an alphabetical order. And if there is no people, if there are no people listed as an author, then we do not treat it as having an author, which means that we start with the specific title, or usually the title that's in quotation marks. You will almost always have a specific title and a source title. Source title could be the website, it could be the journal, it could be a book. If you're citing a book, typically you don't have the quotation mark title. You only have the italics title. But all MLA titles get capitalized with traditional title caps, and they will either have quotation marks around them or they will have italics. You will also almost always have electronic access information. This is what a lot of people left off. So if I'm looking at a book and I'm looking at the real book, then I'm citing the book. But if I am looking at a book that I have gotten through the library in electronic form, then I need the electronic access information as well. Sometimes you might find things in a real book. I understand that. But 99% of the time, the things that we are finding for our research on papers that we write for school are going to be accessed electronically. And when you have citations that do not have that information, it sends up a big red flag. So let's talk about how we get those citations. Well, one of the big things, of course, is that you are going to use information from websites. So I'm going to go into Google and I'm going to, okay, so I'm going to find a website that writes about comparing and contrasting the Indiana Jones movies, because I'm talking about two movies. So I'm just going to use Indiana Jones. Um, let's see. Here we have one that's ranking the five. We've got Quora, which is a question site. I would not use that. I would not use anything that anybody posted on their Facebook. Um, let's put in, and I'm going to put in and magazine so that I may get things that were, so here's something from Movie Maker magazine. Here's something from IndieWire, the Brandeis Who. These are not great websites, but I'm going to pick one of those. So let's take this one. When you are citing an internet site, you may or may not have an author. But you will for sure have both a specific page title as well as a source title. Now, this one does have an author, Kate Erbland. The title of this page is the Indiana Jones Films Ranked, and the title of the website is IndieWire. I also have a publishing date, June 27th, 2023. We don't always have that on a website. And I will know the URL because I can get that up here. So the best way that I know to cite a website is to utilize a tool to help me with that. So we're going to go to scribber.com, except I can't type today. And we're going to use the citation generator. Now, when you're using the citation generator, you do need to make sure that you are using the right form. So this is APA. That's not what we're using. So we're going to need to change that to MLA and save changes. And then it should, if it's coded properly, I should be able to just put the URL in and hit the cite button. And just like I said, we have an author, we have a specific page title. Notice that Indiana Jones, because it was in quotation marks in their title, is now in single quotation marks. We have the website, we have the date, and we have the URL. So I'm going to copy this to the clipboard, and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to paste. Now, I always use match formatting because, except it didn't keep. I want it to match what I've already set up. So we're going to change this to double spacing. I don't know why it didn't hold, but we'll fix it. And then move the hanging indent over. All right. So there is my citation for this. When I cite that article in my paper, the only thing that I'm going to use in my in-text citation is her last name, Erbland. Okay, this would never appear on your works cited page. I just want you to see what it looks like. Okay, so let's go and get something that we could use from the library. So let's go to Valencia College Library. And when we search in the library, there's a lot of ways that we can search. Most people are just going to use the basic search, which is fine. You can also go to specific databases. There's all kinds of things we can do to help strategize, but I'm just going to use the basic search. And I'm going to put in Indiana Jones movies and hit enter. So when I search the basics, I am literally searching everything. I'm finding things from books. I'm finding things from sometimes from websites even here. Here's something from a newsletter article. Here's a book about George Lucas. Now, this book is only in print form. So if you went to the East Campus or you asked for this book to be sent to you, then you would be citing it as a regular book. But most of the time, we are going to be citing actual online versions of whatever it is. And it's still a book if it is an ebook. So I'm actually I want to show you a book if there is one. So let me try that first. Let me see about resource types. And I want to put in books. You will end up at some point having to sign in when you're using the library. All right, so we have books that are available online and we have books that are available in person, right? So if it says available online, then this is something that I will be citing using the database information, the electronic information. I'm going to go ahead and choose Spielberg because why not? So in order to read the book or look at the book, I have to click on the title. Now, this is a danger. Citation button is not always right. In fact, let's look at it and see if it's even close. It is not. It is not even close. Let's try the 9th edition. The 9th edition's better. Okay. Notice that when we have this, we don't just have the book information, we also have this thing called the DOI. If you were to use this one, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But let's go into the actual book and show you where to get the true 100% MLA citation. So once we open it, then we have the little magic cite button. Let's see if it's any different. I bet it is. MLA. Yes. So notice that unlike the other one, it does have the word EBSCOhost, and instead of a DOI, it has a different link, which is fine. If you use the other one and it has the DOI, that's fine. Otherwise, we're going to copy this and we're going to, hi. I'm good. I'm just warning, I am making a video right now, so I need to keep talking. No, you're fine. If it bothers you, I apologize in advance. Okay. No worries. I like to warn people. I'm not just talking to myself. So yeah. So we're going to paste that in. There we go. That kept everything. So this is now my citation for the book, other than we need last name, comma, first name. So Molly goes after her last name. So sometimes you do have to do some adjustments, but there's the citation for that. Now let's get an article because that is what we're going to use more than anything else when we are doing our research. Let me go back to here. All right, so let's take off books. And let's just take this first one. Here's a book, or here's a book. Here's an article from a magazine. So same thing, if we click on the title, it will bring us to this page. Do not use this citation. If you want to get the right one, we're going to open it first and then get the right one. If the link works. Nope. Uh-oh. All right, let's choose a different one. All right, let's try this one. This is my favorite one of the movies anyway. So let's see if this is, nope, there's something wrong with the Gale. It's really annoying. Let's try this one. Nope, it's a Gale one. That's scary. Let me see if I can limit it by database. Yep, I can. Except it's not, I don't know, something's wrong with the library. Let me see if this one works. There we go. Okay, ProQuest. All right, so same principle. Here's the article. And in this particular article, we are seeing a scanned page, which means we can use the page numbers. Cite buttons right here. And we want to change this to MLA. And other than the fact that it has these weird dashes in front of it, this looks correct. So let's copy this. And we're going to come over here and we're going to put that in. Okay, we don't need the title there and we don't need that. There we go. This needs to be double spaced. Otherwise, it's in good shape. Okay, now these would change order because they need to be in alphabetical order. Let me get one that doesn't have an author though. Let me go to, let's see. Let's say we looked up Steven Spielberg. Okay, so with this one, we do have somebody named as an author. However, encyclopedias, typically we don't use authors, so we're not going to use it. Let me see if they give you a citation. Sometimes they do. Okay, let's do copy. And let's go back to Scribber. Okay, this one does list his name. I'm going to have you get rid of it. We're going to pretend like that's not there. And we're going to paste that in. Okay. When we alphabetize things, and I can take these off because they're not real. Now we have some that we can sort. When we put things in alphabetical order, this one's really pretty easy because all we have to do is move Eden to the top, but I want to show you how to sort. So we're going to take off the quotation mark and we're going to highlight the list and we're going to click on the sort button, A to Z, click OK. Now they're in alphabetical order and all we have to do is put the quotation mark back on there. Okay. This is the foundation for proper in-text citation because now we know that when we cite this, we're going to have Eden and we're going to have a page number. It's only on one page, but we've got a page number. This one, we're going to have Herbland and we're not going to have a page number because it's a website. This one, we're going to have Haskell and we're going to have a page number because it's an ebook and we're going to be able to see the pages in the book. And in this one, we're going to use Stephen in quotation marks. So this is what it's going to look like, as I showed you with that other one earlier. And that is what your in-text citation is going to look like. Okay. So there is your quick lesson on MLA setup and in-text citations. We'll dig more into it as needed, but I just wanted to give you a quick overview because we did have some struggles with the definition papers. I am going to save this and I am going to give you this as a document that you could use as a template. Okay. So let me go to the course and make sure there's nothing we need to talk about this week. As I mentioned, we're in week 8, which means you're working on getting ready for your comparison contrast paper. So you are going to be reading about it. You are going to be doing some pre-writing for it. And then the paper itself is due next week. So if you do have questions about what you may or may not have done correctly on the definition paper, just a reminder, make sure that you reach out to me by inbox. Do not just put a comment in the assignment because I won't see it. So do inbox me if you have questions about your particular grade and the feedback on it. All right. So everybody have a great week and I will see you next week. Take care, everybody.